All right. She's studying over here. So next one we're doing tonight is the North Carolina AAR with Jenay, getting a recap of her last competition in North Carolina. Do you want to start her off?
Yeah, so Jenay had a little bit of she put out a lot of effort on the run, so we're operating at like 80% right now. So keep that in mind during this. Just a little bit of a cop-out for her. Not 100% back yet.
Yeah, definitely at like 80% mentally right now.
All right, so main goals. What were the main goals for this match?
Main goals for this match, I knew that there would be long range here for one because I had looked up the range before. It has lots of opportunity for long range. They had a 200-yard bay. I knew we would be using that. Just it makes sense. They only have so many bays there. And I just mounted the ATACR 1-8 Night Force, and I mean I had only shot it for a couple weeks before that, so an opportunity to really test that out.
Yeah.
So I got plenty of practice with that, that's for sure. Several long range stages, and then I mean I guess the 2-gun was long range as well, and then there was long range within a lot of the other stages. So that was a main goal, work on long range. Always a goal within the regional competitions is just training in general.
Yeah.
So obviously your eyes are always on nationals if you're an elite competitor. So at the end of the day, the regionals are truly a training weekend. So I didn't want to stress too much about it. I just wanted to go out there and have fun and train. And then lastly, I mean, y'all both weren't there. It was just me and my mom out there. So yeah. I wanted to get the opportunity to be a little bit more independent in that way.
She had no caddies this weekend,
no
bro.
Caddies. Well, so people seem to make a little bit bigger deal of that than it really was. You have competed by yourself before.
I have, yeah. It's just been a little while. I mean, last year I was solo all the time.
I don't think that you've competed at this level by yourself.
Yeah,
No.
Things are just different now. So back then, last year, I mean, we talked before about Utah last year. There's almost like ignorance is bliss in it, where life was so simple back then. I really didn't know much. I joke like
the more
first
you know.
line, do this. Second line, do no.
Very simple understanding of everything. But again,
I was in Utah. But
yeah, you were in Utah.
The long range targets in Utah were generous. They were big.
Yeah, I just did like first line ish and then second line ish, and I mean pull the trigger slow on my pistol. So things were just so simple, and I was still just trying to figure out.
You still were not shooting a staccato back then, right?
No, I shot the Glock.
Dang.
Yeah. That was the last one with the Glock too, because I was super sweaty, and I was like, I'm sick of this thing jumping in my hands.
So, goals going in, we're gaining confidence by ourselves again.
Yeah.
And realizing that it helps to have somebody over there with you instead of needing somebody.
Right, 100%. And it's something like I forgot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to remind yourself.
So now when you have help, it's like an added bonus. It's not something that's necessary.
100%.
Yeah.
And thank God my mom was there too. I mean, I had a rough day on Saturday, so she still definitely helped me, don't get me wrong. But it was more of just like I could enjoy her presence.
Sure.
And not necessarily, she doesn't know anything about tactical games.
Right.
And she'd never even been to one prior to this. So she's just there for a good time and to support me and cheer me on. And
so I remember looking at the stages. I don't really remember going into stage one. What was stage one?
Walk us through day one in general.
Okay.
But you got
Stage
16 minutes for
one.
that.
We had like the Go Ruck bags, and it was step overs. So same thing as Texas, where we did like the under, over, under thing. So repetitions of that, where on the way down you go under, over, under, and on the way back you go over, over, over. And the bags are kind of awkward. We had like one bigger bag and one kind of smaller bag, so you can rearrange them however you wanted to. So like I did a hybrid of like carrying one on my shoulder and farmers carrying one, and I just alternate what shoulders I was using. So it's pretty much like 4 rounds of that for fitness, carrying it down a pretty big length field, like maybe 80 yards. So it's a lot of distance to travel, and getting them on and off your shoulder a lot with the unders. And the box is at a 24 for everyone, which was actually kind of a factor for the ladies, in my opinion, because that's significantly different than going over a 20 with that much weight on you. But then we had barricade shooting for that.
Was it just a normal box step up, or could you get...
You could
like
only
you could
have
put
your
your hand?
feet touch the box.
Got it.
So I like set the sandbag on the box that I was farmer carrying, and then put my feet on the box, stepped over.
So you didn't have to have the sandbag on you to get over.
I had one on me
Okay.
and one in my hand, but
So,
you
like,
could have both on them.
One of the things we talk about sometimes is like a shooting priority or fitness priority.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to not talk about stuff like that, but like that's kind of general knowledge now. In the Wild West days of the tactical games, nobody was thinking about that stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe like me and one other person, but now everybody kind of caught on. So like, was this more of a fitness and transitions thing, or was it a shooting priority?
I think fitness and transitions, because the penalties for not finishing the fitness were very generous.
Yeah.
And the shooting was fairly easy at the line,
Okay.
especially the pistol shooting. It was that stupid prone thing that you're seeing a lot lately, where you're like shooting like this
Oh,
in
gotcha.
the lower port.
In the square of the port.
Yeah, I cannot hate that more. It's
I love
super
it.
awkward. I
love
hate it. I'm not.
Just sit there and relax. and
I'm
pull
not
the
the right height for it,
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I have to like put one hand on the board, and like it was just not a good position for my anatomical.
We'll work on it.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
work
we'll
on
work
that
on
one.
that.
Yeah.
But regardless, you're sported, so the pistol is pretty easy. It was huge targets for pistol.
So was it big at 20 yards or big at like 10 yards, or just like
I
a
think it was like 10-ish.
high percentage shot?
Yeah,
What's it called?
there's minimal misses across the line for pistol. And rifle, I can't really remember on that one, but I didn't think it was overly difficult. But it was
Sure.
rifle was harder than pistol on that.
Okay.
But the penalties on fitness were just so great that like you had to be moving at a good pace at the line.
I like that though, because it early on in tactical game stuff, there was a strategy people would use where we called it camping on the
Yep.
line. And
Finish
they-
really fast and just hang out.
they'd go camp on the line and set a timer and all that stuff. And then sometimes, like if your last iteration was shooting, and then there was like some fitness to finish, especially if that fitness to finish was hard, they'd time it out to where they never planned on doing the fitness to come back because there wasn't much
Right.
of a penalty, especially if they could stand on the line and just get all their hits.
That's a big programming
Sure.
error in 2020.
Yeah, I do like the high fitness penalties, or not. I wouldn't call high, but like
Significant.
significant. Yeah.
Yeah.
It behooves you to move.
Yeah.
And do the fitness. I like that.
It was funny. It was super like surprising to me at the end that it felt like a heavy event. Maybe it didn't feel like a heavy event for everyone, but I underestimated it at first because I was like, I think we had a 60 and a 40-pound bag. I was like, it's really not that much weight, but just like the awkwardness of constantly picking it up and down and like.
She texted me that. She was
maneuvering
like,
it
maybe
over
this
the
was the
event.
heavy event of today. She's like, I'm
The,
tired right
the
now
box,
for that.
the
It got me a
box.
little
I
bit.
remember the box from the partner match. At first, it's something you're not really thinking about, and
Right.
then in the later
Yeah,
rounds,
it's
it becomes
boring.
because like you gotta kind of set stuff down, get over,
Yeah.
pick it back up again, and then those things that you have to like get over and all that stuff. Like each,
Little pirouettes.
it's like set it down, pick it up, set it down, pick it up.
Yeah.
It just wears on you over the 12.
I was
15
feeling
minutes,
that.
whatever.
I was just a little surprised. I was like, okay, that was a little spicier than I thought it looked.
Yeah.
I underestimated it. Brittany did really well in that event. She actually won the fitness, but I don't know if she shot some of my rifle target or I don't know. I outshot her, so I beat her in that stage. But like fitness wise, I didn't even win the fitness.
Yeah.
I just moved at a good
spoiler
pace
alert,
to finish.
You went 7 for 7 on stages.
I did
so
win
Yeah.
it over.
You don't have to say you won a stage because we kind of.
No. That's not. I was
Yeah.
just saying that like I didn't win the fitness. Like it was
I
good
see.
fitness.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
She did well in that.
shot really good.
shot
Stage
well.
2.
Stage 2 was our 2-gun,
Yeah.
which was fun for sure.
I remember
was
you
like-
telling me that you felt like you left some on the table there.
I did, yeah. So pistol was really simple.
Yeah.
I never want to say easy. I mean, you can make it hard if you just go faster, right? But very simple, like walk straight forward, say like 25 feet, and on your right there was 9 small pistol plates to your right that you had to shoot on. I shot them on the move while I was walking, and then you kind of run forward a little bit into this box and shoot a plate rack, and then drop your mag and shoot one on a stop plate. So very simple, right?
Yeah.
It almost felt irrelevant because you had long range to follow. So as long as you moved at a decent enough pace there, really your long range would make or break you on that. Because if you suck at long range, you'd shoot the pistol super well, but you're gonna cap out on the long range anyways.
Sometimes those stages that are designed like that, it's a trap because it's like you kind of don't think about the pistol, or maybe you look at the pistol and you think it's easy, and then you don't go like approach it with the correct amount of aggression.
Yeah,
Right?
that was
Like,
me.
Yeah. Then long range, I think the furthest targets are 2 at like 580.
Yeah, 580, 590 were the 2 furthest, I believe, and they were big. I mean, they were generous, but
Yeah.
I did really well. I think think there was like 10 total. And we shot off a rooftop, and there was like 5 close and then 5 far. And I did really well out until the very last one. And it was in a field with tall grass, so you couldn't really see your impacts behind. So I started missing, and I missed my first shot, and I felt like it was a good shot.
Yeah.
So I was like, weird. So I like moved around a bit.
Yeah,
I think I shot like,
I was waiting for it. I was like,
So I ended up shooting, I think like 8 or 9 rounds at that target before I hit, which took me a bunch of time. So if I wouldn't have messed that up, I would have been proud and like felt good about my time. Like it was a good representation of where I'm at. But that last one, I was like, oh man.
Still being Hebner though. It's all good.
Just to be candid, we are very open with the podcast and what we're doing, but we're also both still, all 3 of us now are competitors. So it's like, there's some stuff keep in your pocket
that we do.
I'll save on that.
Yeah. we're gonna land the plane early sometimes.
So event 3, what was that? The run?
Run.
Let's chat about the run.
Now it gets fun. So the run, it was 4.5 miles, and we had to run in everything. So our plate carrier, rifle slung, and our belt with our pistol holstered. And it was hot as hell, literally, out there. I think heat index was something like 115, but it was very humid, and there was no wind. And up until that point in the day, we ran at like 120. So our first 2 events, I felt like I didn't have a lot of time before the run. I pretty much got the brief, loaded out, watched an event, competed, judged, went to the other one, run it back. So I didn't really have a lot of downtime, and that was a problem for me because I didn't hydrate enough in that time frame. And then by the time that you're at the run, it's too late.
Yeah.
You either did it or you didn't. And
Way too late at that point.
Honestly, in the first like 400 meters, I was like, oh, girl, you have done wrong. Like,
so what happened? Let's
it.
tell the people what happened.
So first, I'll tell you this. So like, I sent her a text message, and I was like, hey, listen, send it on this. Like, create a buffer, send it. You know you're good at running. Like, go for it. And then you can talk about what happened, but after what happened did happen, I felt like shit because I was like, "Damn it, I told her to go."
Like shit and I was out doing chores. And I didn't have my phone on me. So.
Listen.
Hebner sent me a message and said, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, Jenay just came in. I helped her take off everything. She's in bad shape." And and I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, and the first thing I responded, which I kind of felt bad for responding it. But I was asking the question to see how bad it was did she finish? Because like that's kind of a cold-hearted question because like almost like, oh, I don't care, did she finish? But
sure.
I knew
that's not the context.
Yeah, it's like I knew if you finished, it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you like proned out with a mile left, she's dead.
So
the fact that you finished, like I knew you were gonna be.
I hung on for dear life to finish.
Yeah.
But so I don't think that it would have mattered if I went full effort or didn't go full effort. Yeah. It was merely the heat at play and dehydration on my part. Because when I looked at my paces later, we didn't start at a very aggressive pace.
But what did you do?
What?
What did you do?
What do you mean?
What happened at the finish line?
Yeah. So, okay, sorry. Let me back
Nobody knows what happened. We're just kind of beating around the bush here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, talk about what happened at the race.
So I started off and just felt kind of weird. And by the turnaround point, I knew that I was not okay. And so it was like 2-something on the way out. And we ran this road and then turned right into this field and then turned right again into this field. And the whole time I'm like waiting for Jacob to turn around because he's in the lead and I can see him. And I'm just like saying all my prayers, like, please, please turn around so that we can get back. Because I knew that I wasn't feeling right. I was like super hot and running was just more effortful than it normally is for me, given that that's a strength of mine. And at the turnaround, I straight up walked. And I don't normally walk in runs either. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I am not well right now. And at the turnaround, deep into this cornfield, I saw that Sarah wasn't too far behind me. So that made me feel some pressure of like, you need to just keep moving. Yeah. Even if it's not fast, like you need to keep moving. And then also the fact that like we're in the middle of a cornfield, like everyone's 2-something miles out. There's no one out there. what am I supposed to do? Like, I just had to get back. So then
cornfields are super humid too.
it was so hot. I literally felt like I was cooking from the inside out. So on the way back, there ended up being these like cones and flags that marked our trail. And the whole way back from like, so after the turnaround, so probably the last mile and a half, I would count 3 cones or flags and then walk 20 paces. So I walked like half of the last mile and a half. Like, I walked a lot, but it felt like I was just dying.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was happening. There's thoughts that crossed my mind of like, am I heat stroking? But I'd never heat stroked before. And then the other thoughts that crossed my mind are like, are you just being soft right now? Like, do you just need to suck it up and keep going? Like, is this just hard? And
4 miles, so you're like 75% done at that point.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it
Or
hit me
more.
at least
I think
at the time. I had like at least a mile and a half left when I was
Yeah.
like, I'm like heat stroking right now. But there's no one out there to like pick me up and take me back. And it just kind of became a survival thing of like, I'm going to run walk until I get to help, because I know that at the end of this, I can get help and I can be
Yeah.
done running. But right now, like, I have to just keep moving so that I can get help. So it was purely survival at that point. I don't even know what was going on in my mind. I was listening to worship music when I started, but then after like the first mile and a half, I don't even have any memory of like what was in my ears. It's just my mind was so loud of like panic. Imagine like that room on fire thing where it's like everything's fine. Like, that was my brain the whole time. Like, send help.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's not.
It's not
It's
fine.
not
Okay, it's not okay.
Oh, it was not fine.
That's me like 150 yards into the run.
Yeah.
It's like nothing's fine.
I
It's
know how
all-
you feel now.
Yeah.
Miserable. But so I was able to somehow just make it to the finish line, but probably like, I don't know, 50 feet before the finish line, I don't have a memory of like crossing the finish line. And apparently I was told later that I like passed out, and there's a span of like 15 minutes or so that I don't know what happened.
I wish I had my phone, but I think Hepner said she crashed into me
That's what you told me later. Yeah.
at the end of the run, like asking me to help her take everything off.
Yeah.
And like he helped you take your plate carrier, guns, belt, like all that stuff off. And then I guess like the medical, and he was like, we had to call the medical people. So like the medical people got there and like helped you out or whatever.
Yeah.
And anyway, so
Thank God for the medics.
yeah.
I'll say that.
Well-
When I finally came to in the truck, they like put me in some truck with AC to help cool me down, and like by then I had a few medics helping me out, and again, thank God for them, because without them, would I just have died on the grass right there?
No,
I don't
dude.
know. Like, what would have
it
happened?
just taken you much longer to get there.
They were super helpful.
So then there's one more stage left for that day. So you had like, I remember you saying there was gonna be like 3 hours to your next stage, but then they moved that last stage up like an hour.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I had this big break.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like 3 hours
Yeah.
or something like that, which is kind of rare in tactical games. You don't
Yeah.
often have that big of a break. And I was so grateful, because I knew that like once I came back to life, I was like, sweet, I've got a big time frame. So like, IV me up, I'll hydrate, get some PBJ. Like, we're
Yeah.
gonna be groovy. Like, I just need an IV and I'll be good. And then I got back to life and went back over there, and like we went to the brief, and they shifted everyone up because the second run group, there's 2 heats of run. So like 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever was in the first run heat, and then 7-1-2 or something was in the second run heat. So those people that were in 7-1-2 were supposed to begin the next stage, so they would have had a smaller turnaround. So
Yeah.
they pushed them back and moved us up. So that moved me up a whole hour. So I had less time to recover, which for me was not ideal. But I was like, on the other hand, I get to go home early
Yeah.
and take an ice bath. So
And it was just rope climbs. It wasn't sandbags.
it was just rope climbs. It was a strength of mine.
It was 10 rounds.
10 rounds of like, say, 100-meter run, 1 rope climb, and then shoot, alternate rifle and pistol. Very similar to the one we did at
I
Nationals, but
remember
more running.
I sent you a message and I was like, set a clock, set your
Yeah.
splits, and just stick to it. And
Yeah.
then if you don't finish, fine. You kind of built a buffer, like, yeah. chill.
Luckily, I mean, the girls that I was competing against were mostly in my heat with me.
Yeah.
So I can gauge where I'm at based on where they're at.
Imagine being Calarina, like breastfeeding your baby in between
my
stages.
Dude,
gosh.
she's so incredible.
Dude,
I have no
what a
idea how
hero,
she
dude.
did
Hey,
that.
you did great, but I think the MVP might go to
Cal,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
day.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, all
100%.
day.
So
Yeah, they were handing off the baby in between. She's
Yeah.
a freaking rock star for that.
Yeah.
I think she's only 3 months out right now.
I remember
Yeah, just
there's
over
a-
90 days, I think.
Yeah.
There's a picture of, like Jimmy holding him, the baby or whatever, like passed out holding the baby. It's like, so I guess they were just like swapping
On
the
and off.
entire day.
Yeah. And she
Wow.
was wearing them like as much as she could.
Yeah.
So she's, she just had them the whole time. It was awesome. But that was a strength event for me. So I just survived. I knew I wasn't myself. I knew I didn't feel great, but I just tried to keep things under control after the event earlier to that, so that wouldn't happen again.
Well,
I just
yeah.
shot my heart out.
Transition your priorities, right? Just start shooting really good
Yeah.
and survive the fitness.
And I did shoot my pistol super well on that one, so I was happy
Yeah.
with that. The rifle was about 200 yards, I think, off the tank trap, 175. And I didn't shoot my rifle as well as I wanted, but I learned.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens that way,
All right, well, that was day one.
That was day one. We'll be back in a minute for day two. All right, we are back for day two of North Carolina.
So,
Go.
going into day two,
Mm-hmm.
we had a small catastrophe on day one that we went over.
Womp, womp, womp.
What was
I have
our-
a button for that.
Yeah.
Oh, don't make me do
How
it.
did how did your strategy change approaching into day two?
Yeah, I mean, just hydrating a lot more. A lot more.
Yeah.
And being more prepared in between events with, like, bringing more water with me, snacks with me, stuff like that. I would say was the only thing that changed.
Yeah.
As far as preparation in between, and then execution is just the same. I just, didn't have the ability to put out a full 100% effort
So,
physically after that. So
There were some text messages going between me and Jake that you don't know about on day two. But basically,
Oh,
we were
gosh.
sharing the responsibility of putting the brakes on you. We're like, hey, tell her to go slow on this one because I told her to go slow on the other one. So we're kind of
your turn.
Yeah. You catch this flack, bro. You do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You do it.
Dude, it's a competitor in me too, though.
Yeah.
Like, y'all say that, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go slow here.
So
And then I get in the workout, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I
My
guess
text
I'm gonna go
message back to
fast.
him was like, "We can tell her this, but her actually doing it is
Yeah.
is probably the hardest part."
Oh, and then
about
we
it.
came up with
It's hard.
goals.
Oh yeah.
That's the way, because we're like, we started brainstorming behind the scenes, like, how can we get her to slow down without her
That's
knowing?
when I gave you that. That's
That
when
we
I
want.
bribed you with the Manny Petty.
Oh, if I
Yeah.
shoot one hundo.
That's where
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Manny
I
Petty
didn't
came
get it.
from.
Yeah.
No, we
So
know
weird.
you didn't get it. Trust me.
we were like, how can we get her to slow down? And Jake was like, hey, look, I'm gonna say I'll get her a manicure and pedicure if she shoots 100% on this stage, and if she in that way she has to go slower on
And
the fitness.
of note, that stage was the 320-yard rifle.
Well,
High
So,
bar.
hey, well,
I mean,
you know
it is
what?
what it
High
is.
bar.
Jake wasn't dumb. He didn't
Yeah.
want to buy a manicure.
I'm not trying to spend
And that was
$100,
the only
yo.
workout I didn't finish of the weekend. Look at that. It kind of worked.
Stage.
It's smart.
Stage 5. What's stage 5?
Stage
Yeah,
5
we're
was
on stage
Inman.
5.
Everyone knows Inman, but as a reminder, 4 rounds of 5-3-1 with the sandbag
So-
over and then shooting rifle pistol.
30-second history of Inman.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Mr.
Yeah.
Inman passed away from a heart. Let's see, I forgot the heart. It was a heart attack.
Heart attack, but
I forgot
eventually.
I forgot what the official thing, but it was a heart attack.
Yeah.
In general terms, heart attack.
Correct.
It was right after he finished a workout. He had just said, "Man, this is awesome." Like, where was this my entire life almost? And then 5 seconds later, he collapsed. So, anyway, this workout is a workout that has been repeated ever since then, and it's named after him. So that way we kind of keep that going on. So anyway, Inman, it's a heavy sandbag workout where we put it over yokes, a lot of different things. You can look up what the workout is, but heavy workout.
Yeah, heavy sandbags.
Not Jenay's forte, especially when she's struggling.
Yeah, I think I slept like 4 hours maybe that night.
Especially
and
after
just
she
was
has
like-
this heat.
Yeah, so
I
how
was not feeling the hundo.
No,
So
not at all.
I didn't know what would happen. If I'm being honest, I didn't know how my body would react in that situation because I'd never been in it before. So I kept my expectations low and just decided I was going to pace it at something that felt challenging, but never pushing myself harder than 80% or so.
three rounds?
4 rounds.
4 rounds.
Four
That's
rounds
4
of
sets.
5, 3, 1 sandbag over, increasing load.
Yeah, I always think of Inman as 3 rounds. Like pace 3 rounds, and then just try and turn your brain off because
For the
it
last
gets
one.
heavy.
I agree with that.
And it's one of those things that's like it gets heavy and pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like it hurts to
Yeah.
finish the last round. So like it's a 3-round workout, and then you shut off your brain and forget about everything else that's happening
Full
and just
send.
go to work.
Totally.
That's what it is.
That's a good way to mentally get through that one.
So that was event 5. What was event 6?
Event 6, we had some sled drags, so it was like the gauntlet thing. So bear crawl underneath it, go shoot your rifle off the tank trap, shoot your pistol standing freestyle, go take your sled with a bear crawl again, but now you have like you're bear crawling with a sled that you're dragging under the gauntlet thing, and then around the building again, like maybe 100 meters, 150, and then back on you. When you got back to the gauntlet, you put your sandbags over each bar as you drug the sled through as well. So it was like
Did you have to put the sandbags back on the sled, or you could just like
for the second round.
everything just had to go with you?
Everything had to go with you.
Okay.
So when you're going through the gauntlet, it's just pretty much sandbag over the bar.
Okay.
And we had 2 sandbags the first round, 1 sandbag the
And
second
then
round.
the sled's just like an
You're just pulling
inconvenience
it, yeah.
thing.
Just
So,
get
like,
it there.
Could you just... Never mind.
I think calling it inconvenience under like for me, those things always turn into like the worst part.
Sure.
Because you're like, hey, I got all this stuff done.
Well, that's the Inman. The worst part about Inman is going under the bar to get over to the next side.
Yeah. So, was this one that had the longer rifle shots?
Yeah,
just
this
the
was longer
175,
rifle again,
right?
but it was the same bay as the day before. I said I shot bad at like this
175,
particular stage.
180,
Yeah, so I
something
got
like
the
that.
opportunity to reshoot it off tank trap again, and I did way better. So that was cool, just to again a training opportunity within the weekend to work
What
on
was
some different
different from day
positions.
1 to day 2 that you did better?
I went prone the first day, and I did not go prone the second day. And for me, that just worked. I think environmentally, there was tall grass, and it was just kind of like a little too high for comfort, but you could pull off the shot, and it was
Yeah.
just kind of making me feel weird, and I didn't feel good about the way that I was like keeping stable with the rifle in my prone position up against the tank trap. So the next day I tried something different, and it was way better for me.
Yeah.
So
I
just
saw you
again,
were,
good
like,
data.
Inside.
Yeah, I was all
Yeah.
up in that tank
Yeah,
trap.
yeah. Cool. So that one was probably like a shooting priority or work.
Shooting priority for me because
For sure.
rifle was 20 seconds per miss, and everyone is pretty much the same on the sled. I mean, it's grunt work, so no one's going to be unable to do the work.
We didn't
You just
really
have to
talk
keep
about
going.
that. We just talked about it on day 1, but like, do you feel like the split overall for the weekend was good? Like shooting priority versus like fitness priority?
Yeah, I mean, how I felt was yes.
Okay.
Mathematically, I didn't do a lot of
Yeah.
like analytical stuff with it,
Yeah.
but
She hasn't been able to like
You felt like
I
it-
haven't
see
really
numbers since then.
overall you felt like it was pretty good.
yes, I did
Okay.
because I mean, it was super cool to have so much long range within the match,
Yeah.
and those long range stages were. I say long range. I don't even know if that's technically long range, is it?
Well, I mean,
For us,
For
most of
tackling.
the most of the time when you shoot when you shoot rifle between 50 and 100 yards, targets at 175 out to 320 is far.
Yeah, so
I mean,
we
it's
had
double
2
the
at
distance.
175.
But it's not
and-
long range, no.
Sure.
I think
sure.
long range and precision are 2 different things.
Sure.
So I would say like that probably falls into the precision category. So it's not super far, but you have to be precise, and it's like a mid-range target.
Okay. So we
Right.
had a lot of opportunity for that, and the targets that we were shooting at the 175 were not huge. Like there was definitely opportunity to miss for sure. So that made them valuable. And then the 320, we rarely get to shoot that on paper in tactical games because most places just don't have the space for
Sure.
it. So that was really fun for me. I mean,
Hey, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
And the
shit
reason
too.
why I love paper at long range like that is because you have to trust your gear,
Gotta know your shit.
Yeah.
and you can't
fake it.
you can't react off a miss, right? So if it's steel, you get feedback. On paper, there's no feedback.
right.
So you could think that you're doing really well on paper, and then get your paper and
have
"Uh-oh,
nothing."
There's no holes here.
Which so many people had that on the
And,
320.
so like it is truly a test of the way that you have your gear set up and your knowledge, and then your confidence in that.
Right.
And so I love it. I love paper that is too far to see holes.
Yep.
That's what
Me too.
I like that.
Yeah, it was awesome. So the sled one, I would say, was definitely shooting heavy given the penalties, and I think we had the small squares
Yeah.
for the pistol
yeah,
targets.
yeah.
So it
Oh,
was
the pasties.
Those
That's
are
cool.
tough.
Those
Yeah.
are hard.
it was fun. That was it was just fun. It was
There
just a good mover.
Partner match. The team I was judging, his dot ran out of battery halfway through, and he ran up and just like sent 9 rounds at the target. And like when you're judging, you can see the holes appear on the target, and he hit every single one of them.
Oh my gosh!
Like he just went up and went bang, 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 bang. And it was like hit. It was
That's
all
some
in
luck,
different
man.
places, but it was like he putting his pistol up and stuff, getting ready to leave. I was like, dude, you just hit every single one of those. And he was like, man, that's awesome. I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, just keep doing that. Like, send it, man.
People
Go
were
for it.
on your
definitely
side.
doing that.
Yeah.
I judged a heat, like you always end up judging different divisions and stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people were definitely doing that because they're hard to hit if you're not like
Yeah.
really working on precision with your pistol.
Yeah.
I will say though, I wish that it was 1 hit per square because it gives less of the opportunity for you to just waylay and
Yeah.
get points for that.
Yeah.
And right now it was 2 hits per square, and there was plenty enough squares on the target to
Yeah.
do 1 hit per square. So I think
Yeah.
that would be cool going forward to sift out the just sprayers from
Yeah.
the
Actual
precision shooters.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
320. You did real well on that.
320 was the last event.
Yeah.
Yeah, 320 yard rifle. It was axle bar, overhead and front rack carry, and then farmer's carry handles. And for the guys, it was a moderate weight relatively. And for the girls, they kind of hosed us a little bit and gave us the heavier end, which we're all in the same boat, so whatever.
Yeah.
You just roll with it. But like the outcomes of the two, you can't compare because, it's just
Right.
relatively a lot harder for us.
Yeah.
None
weight-wise.
of the females finished, right? But
No,
the
we
men
all-
were like smashing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Me, Cal, and Sarah were on our last farmer's carry, which would be right before our last pistol iteration, and then we would have finished the workout.
Got it.
So, and the guys finished with time left.
Right.
For sure.
I know. So Jake and I obviously did a lot of programming over the years, and one thing that we did find is that women, comparatively speaking, are much stronger when legs are involved. When it's upper body, then you go kind of towards the more CrossFit standard, which is like 65%. But whenever legs are involved, you kind of push up to like 70-75% because women have a much higher pain tolerance than men, and then B,
True
their
that.
legs,
Okay.
pound for pound, legs are stronger. Like
Yeah.
That's 100% agreeable.
the split there needs to be a little bit smaller when legs are involved.
Sure. I can understand that.
But like anything overhead, and then
Anything front rack.
anything that
yeah.
involves like shoulders.
Right. Front rack to overhead. Is,
Guys typically have significantly stronger shoulders, like comparatively speaking.
yeah. I can see that.
But we found there that like if we did the 65 or 65% split on stuff that involved legs, the women were like,
way.
hey,
ahead.
that was super easy, and they're
Yeah.
all finishing 5 minutes into the event and like stuff like that. So we pushed the weight a little bit higher on
Women are traditionally better at moving their like 80% as
Yes.
well
Yeah,
versus having a high 1RM.
So, and definitely, women definitely have an ability to do higher reps at a higher percentage.
Yeah.
So guys might be able to back squat. They might be able to back squat 500 pounds, but get 350 5 times. Whereas a lady might be able to do, let's call 300 pounds, but then can do like 280 10 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
The math isn't mathing.
Yeah.
Well, we see it in here. I mean, you see the girls in here, they get kind of timid and they'll do one and they're like, oh, I can't do any more. That's way too heavy. But then they'll do that for 30 reps in the workout. And you're like, okay, well, that's not too heavy to do one,
Yeah.
but it's the mental
I'm definitely
thing.
more of that way,
Yeah.
personally.
So,
It was heavier, but it was cool. I mean, it was a great event. It's just, it was our last event of the weekend. We were all pretty smacked from the heat in general. I think we all would have performed better if it was like our first event of the weekend. But, I mean, we needed a heavy event that day. Well, we had Inman that day, so we
Yeah.
didn't really need a heavy. Could have been
Yeah.
moderate and still been good, but whatever.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat.
yeah.
It was fun. It was really fun to shoot the long range rifle, like I was saying. And
So
for us,
over the
long
course of the
range for us.
weekend, you had paper at 175
Twice.
twice, 320 once. Was there any other paper?
We only used that bay for that second day. The other bay was 60 something the
Okay.
second day, and some maybe 80 the first day
Yeah.
ish, somewhere in
then-
that range.
so you
Less
had-
than 100, more than 50.
170, let's call it 170. 170, 320, and then you had some long range on the action shooting paper.
Yeah.
So it was like long range was tested.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And at first when I saw the 2-gun thing, I was a little bummed out that it wasn't separate. Like I want to like shoot pistol fast or do like 2-gun style, you know.
Yeah, like a bay type.
Yeah, like fast shooting, and then and then rifle separate.
A year ago,
yes, that's why
you were hot garbage. You would shoot, and I was like, I don't know where to start here. Yeah. I'd be like, hey, like you remember how
she
you
thinks
like
she's Jenay Wick over here.
Yeah. It's like, hey, remember like you used to be an athlete? Like, let's revisit that. We just have a gun in our hand, and like all of a sudden, athleticism.
You used to be an athlete.
Yeah.
You used to not prance like that.
Oh my gosh.
She'd be like, yeah.
So terrible.
Ponytail just.
But it turned out to be cool. I mean, like I said, it was balanced out in the other stages with having the longer distance elements. So that was really fun. Also, something unique was there was a little bit more spectator friendly environments this weekend or
That's cool.
that weekend. Yeah, there was one stage, the one where we moved the bags on the first day a far distance.
Yeah.
So in the middle of that bay, usually we have like a spot for fitness and then a firing line and then, you know, targets downrange or whatever.
Right.
So right between the fitness area and the firing line, they like sectioned off this little thing with bleachers in it.
Oh, that's cool.
So spectators. So my mom like got to like park it on that thing and like be in my event with me. You know,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
super cool. And then we just kind of walked around the things on each side, and I love that it was super interactive. And there wasn't a ton of people like using it. I think they were a little freaked out by it because we hadn't seen it before.
Sure.
But I was like, that's gonna grow to be a really cool thing.
Yeah, as you say that, it'd be cool if you like had the playing field in the middle and bleachers like a football field.
Yeah.
On either side.
Yeah.
So then you did the fitness.
So, like, speaking to the business of the tactical games real quick, you have to control the media because the media is a big section of what provides the funds for the sport, right? And if the sport is not able to collect on that media, then the sport is not going to be as awesome as the sport has become, right? So, yes, I love it that the bleachers are there. And I haven't talked to Nick. This is the first time that I've heard this, right? However, for everybody that's listening, please understand that if they say, hey, there's going to be bleachers here and you get to be here in the middle of the action, but you don't get professional cameras here.
Yeah.
Totally understandable.
That would
say,
make sense.
No problem. I
Sure.
love the opportunity to be here, and don't take your professional camera where it's not supposed to be.
Right.
Right.
Then we can still have fun.
Yeah. So that's everybody gets to have more fun, better spectator area, all that stuff. But please understand that I'm not speaking for Nick. I'm speaking as somebody that knows how the finances of the company works. Respect it.
Sure.
Don't get mad at it.
Right.
Understand that there is a lot that goes behind the business side. Of course, we would love for everybody to have their super professional Canons with professional lenses out there taken, but then it devalues the media that the sport can sell, right? And in order for us to have an awesome sport, they have to be able to afford to have a lot of people working there, to be able to get all the equipment there, to be able to have really cool equipment, new equipment, stuff like that. So anyway, putting that little plug in there.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's not complain about it.
Sure.
When rules are imposed on what you can and can't take into that area, because I promise you that there's going to be rules imposed on that. Respect it. I want it. I want for people that like are spending their weekend to come watch and stuff like that to be able to be in the action,
Right.
and watch what's going on much closer, because you get to feel what is going on when you're right there next. And there's not really many other sports where you get to be like right there.
Yeah.
Right. 3-gun. You get to watch 5 seconds of somebody disappearing into the woods.
Yeah.
Right. You don't get to watch much. CrossFit, you're in the bleachers, standing behind some, roped off lane or whatever, and like you can kind of see what's going on, whatever. But if they can design stuff where like people can watch, let's not turn it into something that is a pain in the butt. And if somebody asks you to stop taking pictures with your camera, just say no problem.
Yeah.
And
Right.
move on with your life.
And that wasn't the only stage that was the only stage that had that format, but like several of the others were still spectator friendly like that. The rope climb one, there was like a 2-story building thing. Maybe they shoot clays off of it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like, so you could stand at the eye level of where the ropes were. So I thought that they did a good job, Tactical Games crew wise, of like making it really inviting to like be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I wish I would have brought binoculars for my mom though, so she could see my targets. Cause then,
Yeah, that's cool.
Cause whoever
Yeah.
wins the fitness doesn't always win the shooting.
That's
so being able to see
something
that is like
something we always
so
talked
key.
about. Like
Yep.
the progression of the sport is going to be somehow showing the hits on the target, which there's like shot marker. The technology is out there. It's just not. It requires a ton of setup and a ton of technology and somebody that knows how it's working.
Yeah.
And
Well, and if you play off statistics, it's going to rain
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8 events out of the year, and then I don't know how much that stuff can sit out in water.
yeah. And again, it's super expensive.
Yeah.
So don't complain when they're trying to make money off media. Like that's how this stuff is going to progress, is them being able to do stuff.
So give us a quick like 3 minutes of your overall of the weekend.
Let's do like 3 takeaways.
Okay,
Is that
works
good?
best.
3 takeaways. Heat is unkind
Respect
to
it.
all.
Heat
yeah.
is real.
The heat
is
was real.
So
Respect it for sure.
somebody made a comment to me like, hey, she's from Texas though. Like she should. And I was like, listen, the only thing that you learn about heat and humidity, because like Austin is right in the center of hell, right? Like it is awful here in the summertime. The only thing that you learn about heat here is that you respect it.
Yeah.
And if you respect it, at the end of the weekend, you're going to come out on top. You don't learn to fight through it.
No.
Like there is no, I'm going to train in heat every day. Cool, go do it, because your workouts are going to suck.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you are not going to get very fit because you can only work out for like 6 minutes before it tapers off.
Right.
Right.
You know, huge. You have to respect it.
Learn that this weekend, and in events to come, I'll definitely be more diligent about hydrating. And
Yeah.
for those of you that are competing in tactical games in the summer months, or Iowa is coming up, right?
Yep.
Definitely be diligent about that, because it happens to everyone. You know, you're not above it. Heat was a huge factor. I would say that was a big takeaway. Big thank you to the medical staff as well for being awesome in regards to that. I loved getting to just spend the weekend with my mom and Mallory. We hung out the whole weekend. So this event felt different community wise.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some events just hit different with the community. And this one, I texted you when I got there. I was like, good friends around. I'm excited. I feel good. And like, it just felt like everyone there was there for a good time.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun just hanging out with people. The longer that I'm in the sport, the richer that those relationships get. And it's always a pleasure to get out there and get to see people that you always see at these events. You know, there's so many people that come back, and it was great to be a part of that.
That's
overall,
2. One more.
I just wrote that I think I performed well with what I went through. Like I stayed really mentally tough, and I didn't quit, and I was proud of that. I didn't do everything right. I definitely made a lot of failures that I'm going to learn from and take away, but the one thing that remained was like I stayed mentally strong of just being able to push through. And even if I couldn't give 100% on the things that I wanted to, like fitness, there's still other things I could give 100% on, like shooting, and proving to myself that I could keep going. And obviously in a smart way, I wasn't going to kill myself or do bigger damage. It was just like proving to myself that I could still keep going was good for me.
It seemed like it was a really good learning thing, because like the main things here was like reassuring yourself you can do it on your own. Then you hit a really big obstacle there with the heat, right?
Yeah.
And then you fought through the rest of the weekend, so that's good.
For sure.
Then you won every stage.
Yeah.
So I'll say it because I know you're not going to.
Yeah, I'm not going.
But 7 for 8 for 8.
7 for 7.
7 for 7.
Yeah, 7 for 7. One was close, but 7 for 7. That's awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I
But,
appreciate
pretty
that. That was
impressive.
cool.
Things that you definitely overcame. The thought that you need a crutch there for help, and then got to show what you've learned long range over the last year and a half. So I think it was a really good confidence weekend.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Confidence weekend.
When's
good
the next
training
one?
weekend. I don't know.
Good.
We gonna find out.
Today, boy.
I'm ROing in Iowa. I haven't even told y'all that.
Yeah, what?
Since when?
What?
No, it's going to be the last time you RO'd at Triple C, and you're going to pull a quick one at the end and like go compete?
No,
Or,
no,
like,
no.
How's this
no,
gonna
no.
work?
I'm in terrible shape right now. The last couple times I competed, I'm on like life support. I'm working on it. I'm getting back in shape. No, Nick sent me a text message a couple days ago. So I think Brandon Wyckoff had to back out.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like the 10-year younger version of Brandon Wyckoff. So naturally.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've RO'd a stage. I think it was like TSA, like
TSA of 21.
21.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
gonna go
yeah.
run a stage for Nick there.
Cool.
So
Sick.
anyway, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, it'll be different. I'm honestly kind of excited about it. Just
Cool.
go and see the other side of it again. So
It's
Yeah.
hard work still, like really hard work, but there's so
Yeah.
much you can enjoy in different ways when
Yeah.
you're not focused on being a competitor.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna ride a Vulcan e-bike while you're there?
does it take gas?
No.
I think.
Yeah.
Do they have a grunt yet?
No.
Okay, that one's
There might
cooler.
or might not be one.
You might feel more swag.
making its way over to the tactical games extremely soon, but it was.
Does
getting
it take gas?
It does not, but it was getting ready in the service bay this week,
Just
so
don't tell 'em.
we'll
Let 'em
make
rip
sure we
it.
get it to Nick
All right.
ASAP. All right, thanks guys. See y'all there.